If you're looking for best practices for your bank or credit union, join us while we talk all things sales, marketing, and strategy for financial institutions. Let's make it happen with FiGrow Solutions.
Hi there, I'm Meredith Olmstead, CEO and founder of FiGrow Solutions. We are a digital marketing and sales consulting agency. We work exclusively with credit unions and community banks. And I am here with our sales director, Danielle Fancher. Say hi, Danielle.
Hello.
Danielle has a really funny kind of topic that we wanted to discuss today. She was just recently, she's always doing this actually. She was at baseball a couple weeks ago. But at this baseball tournament, she was working for 3 days straight at a concession stand. I guess it was your local baseball tournament that you were hosting. Is that right, Danielle?
Yes, yeah, we were hosting it as a fundraiser.
Gotcha. So Danielle said she learned a lot, or it reminded her of being back on the front lines at a branch for a credit union or a bank. And we were talking about it, and she said, and I was like, let's hit record and talk about she said what a concession stand taught her about sales, and specifically about sales for your credit union or your community bank. So first thing, what was the first thing that jumped out at you as you were back in the front lines, like you're back as a teller, really?
Yeah, so it was really fun because all the moms got to be in the concession stand together, and it made me just realize, like, oh my gosh, this is all the stuff I used to love whenever I was a teller, because used to branches were so busy, not so much anymore, but we had hundreds and hundreds of people there, but it really brought me back to my teller days. And I think one of the very first things I recognized was the power of acknowledgement and how important it is to make eye contact with people and to greet them. It just matters a lot more than what we think. And this is something that, whenever you work in like a sales and service environment, you do recognize this type of thing anywhere that you go, whether it's a coffee shop, grocery store, but working behind the counter in the concession stand, it really made me realize how important it was to make eye contact with people, calling them up as they were standing there, just being present and engaging with them. So,
yeah, it's funny too. It reminds me of you and I talking about trying to make a personal connection with people as you're going through that sales process before you just dive right in too. So it's like, really trying to, so it's not just about even like just looking people in the eye, but also like acknowledging them as a human, you know what I mean? Because we're all so caught up in this digital age that sometimes we just dive right in and we forget, oh, how was your weekend? Or, how are your kids? Or what'd you do last night? Or what did you do, on Sunday? Or whatever it is, something where you can really connect with people and then build a little bit of rapport. It helps build trust and kind of that relationship that a lot of us are really lacking because we're so digitally focused now with so many of our interactions. So yeah, I think acknowledging people both, with eye contact and also with like just, with just like a really authentic, like hello and greeting and like what's been going on with you kind of thing can be a big impact around acknowledging.
yeah, and I think something that, sometimes I feel like people really struggle with making that connection, but whenever you're at a baseball tournament, you already know that you have something in common. Baseball, your kids are there for baseball. When people are in your branches or they're calling in to your bank or credit union, you know that you have something in common. You're both familiar with your bank or credit union. So I think just keeping it simple and realizing it doesn't have to be some difficult, intense interaction with people. It really just is about simple acknowledgement and making people feel seen.
Yeah. And what can I do to help you today? Like I'm
Yes.
here to help. This is why I'm here. This is why I answered the phone. This is why I'm, looking at you, or why I'm on this live chat, or whatever it might be. How can I help you?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what else did you figure out in your concession stand experience?
Okay, so one of my favorite things, this is what started to get me a little bit excited about it, because something I always loved about being on the front line or being in the credit union or the bank was cross-selling and upselling. I
Hmm.
always just found it as like a little bit of a challenge, and it makes it fun. And this is something that I coach people on all of the time. We're not just order takers, right? I mean, every job you can be an order taker if you want, but if you think about your experiences and the places that do it very, very well, they are figuring out what you want, and then they're figuring out ways to upsell you.
Yeah.
So we all can recognize this from McDonald's years and years ago. Would you like to supersize that? And oftentimes we'd say yes, but it brought me back to whenever someone would order a hot dog or just a hamburger, I'd ask them, hey, do you want to make that a basket for just a couple dollars more? It comes with a drink and it comes with chips. Almost every single time, people said, oh, yeah, thank you. They thanked me whenever I'm the one upselling them. But when you make it about saving them money or offering them additional products or services, chips and a drink, um, you know, it's about them now. It's not about me. It's not about me making money. It's about them. And so, um, we were rotating in groups of different areas that we were working in the concession stand. And whenever it was my turn to like do some of the backfilling, I was watching some of the other moms and I noticed that someone would say, I want a hot dog. And they'd say, okay, $2. I want chips. Okay, $3. Whereas for me, it was so much fun because I'm like, let's make it a basket. Do you want chips? Do you want drinks? Do you want candy? And almost every single time people were saying yes. So I think sales is about awareness and confidence. And I think that it's so important to know your products and services and what you do have to offer. Because if you don't offer, you're making the decision for your member or customer.
Yeah.
And so I think it's super important. Like, you're not being pushy, you're being helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love how you always say sales is like good sales is really just service. It's actually reminding people of products potentially that they might not even know about or know that you offer. And
Yeah.
then, showing them the value of them, why they're in their best interest, why they would be helpful or potentially save them money down the road, be a good fit, and then bringing those to the table in those right moments. So, excellent example. What else so a third lesson, I think you said,
Yeah.
well, you said, when you're rotating. So
Yeah.
what about the rotating and you're obviously working on this as a team?
Yeah, so sales success, it's not individual, it's operational. And so I mentioned earlier that we were working in rotations. So we had people at the counter, and then we had people that were getting the food ready, and then we had people that were handing products and services or the different food and beverage items to the front counter so they could really focus on what they were doing. And it's really important that you incorporate that type of environment inside of your branches as well. It really is operational. It's important that every single person on your team understands what their role is. And sometimes that means not doing the fun tasks. After we
Yeah.
left that tournament, I said I never wanted to see another hot dog or hamburger again. But I realized that it was important to make sure that the hot dogs and hamburgers were ready. So when people ordered them, that they were there, available, and ready to go. You can compare that to loading cash dispensers and auditing teller drawers and making
hmm
sure that you have no outages. Those are not the fun jobs, but they are the important roles that have to be filled to
Yeah.
ensure that the front line can do their job as well.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean that's it. The just working the concession stand in general for your team is huge, right? It's like an essential fundraiser for your team to help your team be able to go to tournaments throughout the entire season. So if you
yeah,
just skip the whole thing, it would be disastrous for your team and for the kids and for the whole season. So yeah, it's
absolutely.
really important for the business and in your case the team as a whole. So any last things that you can think of that were when you were kind of in this experience that you remembered from your time in branches?
Just remembering how important it is to acknowledge people. People come in and they kind of stand around, and it's really important to make eye contact with people, um, regardless of if you're in a branch on a phone. It even comes through greeting people over the phone as well. But um, it's so, so important to make sure that you're acknowledging people, that you're using intentional language with them, and that everyone's working as a team. The fundamentals haven't changed. We've just gotten distracted from them.
Yeah, and I think it's also really important to have this, an owner's mentality about your area of responsibility, but also be ready to jump in when needed, because as a team, you can't have that like, oh, this is not my job kind of mentality, right? If
Yeah.
somebody's out or if somebody's, struggling or whatever, you've got to be ready to kind of jump in and help when necessary to make sure that somebody's getting a great experience, or if somebody on the team is struggling, that you can kind of step in and help, pick up the slack. So same kind of thing in a financial institution. You always want to make sure that you're kind of there for your team members and, helping when necessary. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for the quick little sales tips around concession stand volunteering. Glad everything went so well with the team fundraiser. If you're interested in learning more about sales for your financial institution, please visit us at figrow.com. We have lots of other podcasts. We have lots of case studies. You can visit us there and learn more at figrow.com. Otherwise, let's just all get out there and make it happen.